Hey everyone, how's it going? Matthew Rodella here with another episode of KickSaga. This is the YouTube series where I interview first-time board game creators once right before they're about to go live on Kickstarter, and then once again afterwards to learn, what they're doing to prepare, and then what they learned after the campaign is over, whether or not they funded, and what they feel led to either outcome. So this kind of gives you both sides of the story. And I'm happy to have on the show today two co-founders of Gray Forest Games, Christian Forrest and Holt Gray. How you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Doing very well.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being here. Where in the world are you guys joining us from?
So we're in Birmingham, Alabama.
Excellent. I do detect a bit of a Southern accent, so that's that puts you in the right spot.
Yeah.
Christian is technically Cajun, for what that's worth. So
nice.
I'm Southern. He's Cajun. That's a slight difference.
I've been in Alabama long enough. I've picked up the accent, though. I think.
Probably so.
And to my untrained ears, it all just sounds like a Southern accent to me.
There you
go. Cool. Well, welcome. Thanks again for being here. Before we kind of dig into what you guys are doing to get started and how it's going and everything like that, why don't you guys just one at a time kind of tell me about yourselves, what brought you into the board gaming world, and how you guys ended up getting together and going on this journey.
Yeah, so grew up in board games my entire life. Love board games, the nature of them. My biggest passion is the way they bring people together. I mean, I think we were all created to be, friends with each other and have interaction with each other. And a lot of times in today's environment, there's a lot of divisiveness, which board games breaks through. And so you can have people with common interest or not so common interest that may not necessarily ever get the chance to know each other outside of the board gaming world, come together and have a good experience through a common interest and learn from each other and, share each other's passion and, just have relationships with each other through a common interest, which in competition and stimulation of intellect, creativity, it's just so many positives for the board gaming world. And I think that brings that's what board games bring, no pun intended, to the table, that a lot of other media and entertainment outlets may not, in today's world. So I think that's the beauty of board games and the genre specifically.
Christian?
Okay. So, wow, that was, I'm not going to be able to keep up with that, Matt. But, I've been playing games for a long time. And what I can tell you is in way back in 2004, I briefly moved back to Louisiana and just come back to Birmingham, and Holt invited me to game night and introduced me to this game that they had been working on for some time. At the time, it was called Et Brute. And I just, fell in love with it and I was a regular at game night, and we worked on it for quite some time. And eventually we've kind of gotten it over the last few years to what we've got today in 44 BCE. So
nice.
That's, a little bit about how I kind of got into this, and it's something I really wanted to do all the way back in 2004. And finally we're going to get there in 2022. So it's taken us, a minute,
yeah.
but we're going to get there.
Nice. Cool. So, I actually was remiss in not mentioning what game we're here to talk about. That's 44 BCE. So what do you guys tell us a little bit about the game and, some of the mechanisms involved and kind of what the genesis of the game was, where it came from?
Yeah. You want me to start, Christian? And,
I'm going to let you go, man. This is your wheelhouse.
Yeah. So, going back to the very beginning, this is in 2004. I'm in dental school, senior year, trying to figure out something to divert my attention away from teeth and books and all that. And I'm sitting at a red light, and I'm like I said, gamer all my life. Games that are historical favorites of mine: Magic the Gathering, played on the state tour, on the local pro tour, Diplomacy, Puerto Rico, Euro genre coming in, and then I had this idea of it sounds crazy, but the rummy 3-card rummy where you have like the cups and the ball and which one you're going to mix them around, and there's 3 of them. And you're trying to choose which one it's going to be, and I'm like, okay, so what if you took that and you kind of compiled a lot of the strengths of a lot of these other games that I really love and diplomatic element. And one of the things that kind of stuck out to me with multiplayer games, because 1v1 game, they're strong in their own right, but how do you extrapolate that and go from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5? Because anything beyond 2 has a totally different dynamic in game design. You've got separate interactions where a third party might be, subject to the results of how those interactions come to be. And so I said, well, what if you took a multiplayer game and you condensed it into a 1 versus all within any given round, but then that one person rotates around, and it's still a VP-based system, but you kind of get the beauty of both game designs in that all versus one, so that you've got a team of people working against the one person. And then you throw in this hidden element aspect, negotiation, but then you've got a Euro engine building as your long-term arc of the game. A little bit of other collectible card game mechanics coming into it per se, but it all kind of just came together, and rough prototype, and then Christian gets involved. Meanwhile, you get busy with life, you get busy with kids. We've got a fun game that we've played 100 times as an internal group on cardboard, but the reality is it sits on the shelf for 15 years because of all the other obligations that life brings forth. And so right. I think one of the key aspects of this was looking back on it, COVID. We had free time. I never thought I would be unemployed, but I was for 6 weeks. And then going back, I think a big aspect and a big takeaway that I have from this whole project is the power of group collaboration. This is something I could have never done by myself. Yes, I had the initial idea and kind of got it to a certain point, but without the help of other people, the reality is, without the help of Christian and his wife Kelly, the reality is that 44 would still be sitting on my shelf collecting dust without any professional artwork or anywhere near going to Kickstarter. So that's something that I'm very thankful for. And I think it's kind of apropos for the game itself being an open negotiation, collaboration, interactive game. And that is a huge aspect to the game design and the experience that we felt and had ourselves in getting it from cardboard to Kickstarter.
Yeah, and so that's great. And so it sounds like this has been a kind of a labor of love and passion for you, and the stars aligned with meeting Christian and his wife and getting kind of, and unfortunately COVID and everything kind of getting together to get it to that next level. So that's Christian, right. I'm curious what the role that you and your wife play in bringing this to life, and what you're doing to get it to the point it is now.
Sure. Well, so Holt and I actually have known each other since Holt, like 96, right? I mean, so we were in.
You had hair back then.
I did. Like I said, I was working on it with him back in 2004, kind of helping to develop it at that point. We worked on it for a good while at that point, and one of the things I can tell you, once I had played the game, I was like, I want to publish this game. Like I back in 2004, I was ready to do it. I was young, and things like Kickstarter and Fiverr didn't exist, and I didn't know I didn't know how to go about doing it. Fast forward, 15 years, and we've got a lot more experience and the ability to do it. In the meanwhile, I met Kelly and we got married, and she's really handled a lot of the graphic design for the game and the art direction and things like that. And a couple of the things that we've actually added over the last 3 years, right, as we've been working on this, is we've added it. It used to be a 3 to 4 player game because we had a group that either had 3 or 4 people, and so it was very pigeonholed to what we wanted. And as we started to take it out and show it to more people, we realized, hey, we can come up with a pretty decent 2-player version. And so I really helped to bring that to fruition. And then, we also took it all the way up to 5 as well. And interesting, I always loved it at 4, and then I played 5 and I'm like, oh, this is the way to go. But, with a game like this, where you've got the negotiation and kind of that hidden play, I think it plays better at 5. So I love it. That's my sweet spot for it.
Interesting. Did it always have this theme, or did the theme, it sounded like almost it started with the mechanisms and then you tried to find a theme that fit those mechanisms, or is it the other way?
It had a Roman theme because from the very beginning, the very first card that we created was the Centurion, and that was long time ago. Still remember it was 3 military influence and 1 of your choice, and it's worth 2 authority. And that was the very first card that I ever created. So I think it's safe to say it always had a Roman theme because of the nature of the mechanics, the all versus one system. But what I didn't have that Christian and Kelly really brought to the table and made come to life was, putting the player into the the personification of historical figures, whether it be Agrippa or Mark Antony or Brutus or Cleopatra. And so, my original idea was you have this dynasty and you're, over years and stuff, but Christian and Kelly really honed it in and said, look, we want to have the players experience what these historical figures actually experienced in their life, and whether that be, the triumph of victory, the hand management, the stress of the negotiation, the just a lot of what they felt as people in that time, and that's what we wanted the players to experience as part of the gameplay. And that's really on Christian and Kelly as far as bringing that part to life. So I've got to credit them for that entire process.
Nice. So I'm always curious with a kind of a team effort like this is with co-founders. How do you delegate or decide who's going to do what? Do you have very clearly defined roles in the company, or is it you kind of everybody's dabbling in everything?
I think we all end up doing a little bit of everything, but for the most part, there's pretty defined roles, and it's part of the thing I think that has worked really well for us is because we all have kind of some different skill sets that play well, right? So Holt obviously is kind of the game designer, right? I mean, he's the one that this was kind of his idea, his baby from the beginning. I've kind of helped a little bit with some of that along the way.
You helped a lot.
And well, thank you. And my day job is kind of in project management, and so I've kind of helped from that aspect of it. And then Kelly is, her background is actually in marketing and in graphic design, and so that really, to me, that was kind of the missing piece for us, because we, from a business and a gaming standpoint, I think we could have done it, but I had no clue where to start with it. And one day I just kind of pulled the game out of the closet, because I had it. I'd borrowed it from Holt, because I'm always like, I'm gonna publish this thing, I'm gonna get it done, and and so it sat in my closet. But and we pulled it out one day, and it's like, I think I'm gonna get some art for this. And Kelly was just like, yeah, go for it, and let's do it. And then she got sucked into it, and it's like, and it just kind of all came together for us. So
nice. So we're getting ready to launch this thing on Kickstarter. What are some of the steps you've done leading up to this? So first question, what are the steps that you've kind of like the boxes you've tried to tick to lead up to this moment? And then what was the deciding factor that told you you're ready for this thing to launch?
Who said we're ready? That's one thing we keep telling people is like, we are excited and we're ready to do it, but we have no idea, what to expect with this.
Yeah.
This is a whole new thing for us, but I mean, we've been working on it. We've tested this game so much and just feel so good about where it is, right? I think that was kind of step one. And then it kind of gets into this, we were talking earlier about the different races you kind of end up running as you go through this process. And so then it kind of gets into this audience building and marketing aspects of it. And once we kind of got ourselves to a point where we feel like, hey, we've got enough of an audience here, we can do it. And we kind of set some goals, and it's all in the end, I think, kind of based on what it's going to cost to actually make it happen. And once we were able to do that, and so I think we've got enough people, if you go by the standard percentages.
Right. So talking about audience building, then what are some of the things you've done to generate interest and get people to follow this project?
We've done all kind of stuff. So I think one of the things you do is you just start play testing, right? And I mean, that brings people in right there, and so that's been really big for us, because it's kind of one of these things where you get people into it and they really enjoy it. We've been to a lot of the local game shops where we've kind of done the game nights there, brought the game in. So we've done the game shops. Our first really big event was last year. We went to Magic City Con, and that was really where we started to kick it off and say, we really need to start building up a real audience now. And so that's kind of where we started. And we continued to try to use social media. I think as we kind of went through this process, learn it in terms of, creating an audience that way. Maybe we're not the the most proficient at that, but we got a little bit of help with that. And then we've been to some other conferences, right? So we just got back, I guess it was probably a month ago now, but we were at PAX East, and so that was really awesome to get out there and just all the people. I mean, it's a huge conference, right? And we're going to Origins, and when is that, in like 2 weeks, I guess. And then the other thing we've really started doing is hitting Facebook with ads and stuff, and that's been up to this point tremendously successful for us, I think.
Nice. So when you go to these conferences, do you get a booth? Do you just walk around talking to people? Do you set up and play areas? How do you handle kind of spreading the word at these conventions?
All of it.
All of the above. Okay.
So conference. So like at Tennessee Game Days, they weren't really booths. It was more actual gaming. Lots of people there, several hundred people there. A little bit smaller event compared to PAX East with tens of thousands. But in a smaller event, you simply, we bring the posters, we lay the game out, we, engage the audience, we get play testers. I think we got 10 tests in 2 days. At Tennessee Game Days, it's a little bit different environment, get feedback, more hands-on, personal touches, feel for the game, recording emails, asking people just, help us out if they enjoyed the game, spread the word. But then I think at PAX East, it's a little bit more of a vendor style setting with a booth. I think we picked up 700 emails or more at PAX East, and that's more,
Nice.
quick hitters. The people come and go, and it's a 30-second elevator pitch, a little bit more swag, eye candy per se, because you have a smaller attention span because, the traffic flow is a lot greater. So I think the key is tailor your approach to the goal that you're trying to hit based on the event and the setting and the audience that you're presented with, and knowing that ahead of time so that you go in with a game plan. For instance, at a local game store, it's a totally different take. If you get one test in, but you make a couple of connections and you get, a few good pieces of feedback, and even one little tweak, one suggestion, then it's more than worth that night's effort. A lot of, I think at the end of the day, people just feel your passion for the project. They can read it in your nonverbal, not what you're saying, but how you say it and how excited you are about a project like this. And at the end of the day, people just want to be a part of something successful and something that they see that other people believe in, as long as it shares an interest in the same hobby, which we all have as board gamers. And so from that standpoint, I don't think there's a right or wrong. The only take-home piece is to go into it with a plan and execute that plan to the best of your ability, and make sure that you're passionate in whatever you're trying to do.
And you mentioned Facebook ads. Are you guys running those yourselves? Are you hiring a marketing firm to do that for you?
So yeah, we've tried a couple of different ones. I guess try to get that going. And so first one that we had just didn't really work out for us, and so now we're working with. So we're actually working with Dina Ramsey. And she's kind of helping with our social media aspects of it. And so she's kind of hooked us up with somebody to help with the advertising pre-campaign. And then once we go live, we'll end up using Jello.
Okay. And have you noticed any type of ads working better than others in the lead up? What's resonating with folks, have you found?
So it's crazy, but it's simple, right? Just a simple white background with an image of the box and basically a button that says "Learn More," and that has been just the most successful thing. And then you just kind of play with the words a little bit,
right?
And but you get that. I mean, people know what it is when you've got that game box up there, and so that's been the best thing really for us.
I think you guys are lucky in that you have a very striking game box, and that really kind of tells the story of the game right there, and it sucks you in. I'm super curious who your illustrator is and how you found them.
So so we've actually got a couple of illustrators for the game, but the box and all of the characters in the game and their screens, that work was done by Rumyana Zarkova, and we actually just found her on Fiverr, right? It's
wow.
Actually we found both of our artists on Fiverr. The other artist is William Liberto, and he has done all the artwork for the cards that are in the game. So
did these folks have experience illustrating for board games before, or is this kind of a new experience for them?
No, I think it was a new experience for him. I think William's gig was kind of, and so he was kind of in that gaming space a little bit, but he was more on the role playing side and illustrating people's characters. So
Gotcha.
when we started doing the cards, right, that just really fit well into what we wanted, because we just wanted a character, right? And Rumyana had done much more complex and in-depth scenes, and so. One of the things we really wanted was the players have different colors, but we didn't want to have like a big bold border or something like that on them on the screens that kind of indicated who it was. We wanted them to kind of just be an artistic scene that you're going to put up in front of your player mat and everybody can see as you play the game, but have that overarching color scheme to it. And she did a great job with that.
I think another important part that he's probably been a little humble on is the amount of interaction that as a designer / producer you have with the artist. And if you have to give them direction, and you kind of almost create this mastermind that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, where the collaboration between the designer and the producers of the game working with the artist, they kind of it self evolves into something that is greater than either one of them could have done on their own. But it takes constant communication and feedback and a little bit of a humble attitude to say, oh, well, we're not changing, it has to be this way. Well, what about this? It's a little bit of a give and take, and then you bounce back and forth enough times, and then you end up where everybody's happy. And that's important.
Yeah, that's great. It's a truly collaborative process. And I think the more brains can get involved and kind of piece it together, sounds like you get some great results with that. So let's, focusing in now, it's time to get the Kickstarter put together, and, looking at the Kickstarter page itself. What has been your approach to that? How do you decide what information to put there, what goes at the top, what's important, what you can leave out? How's that process gone? Other than maddeningly.
Well, I think the key word there, Matt, is gone. It is not gone. It is going.
Yeah.
So
I find that with everyone I talk to.
Yeah. We still have 4 days, so I mean, that's a lifetime here to get that put together. I'll tell you where we really started with that. So, I mean, the first thing is you look at what other people have done and what's been successful, I think. But then in kind of consulting with Dina, she's seen a lot of these things and she knows what's been successful and what hasn't. And so she gave us an outline, right? And so we kind of filled that in terms of what we wanted to say and the feel we wanted to have with it. And then we've kind of worked with her and her graphic designer to kind of go on and get the graphics in place. Nice. And we're still working on that, but it's coming together, and I think we're getting real close. I actually expect we'll wrap this up this weekend. So
good. As long as it's before Tuesday, right?
That's right. I got until 11 a.m. on Tuesday.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's at least 90 hours. I mean, you're good.
Yeah.
Plenty of time. You don't need to sleep.
Yeah, that's right.
So one part of the Kickstarter that you see sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's a huge section, sometimes it's a very small section, is the reviews and the previews and the videos and that kind of thing. What has been your approach to that? Are you sending out, dozens of preview copies? Are you just hitting, a select few? Have you decided to approach that part of it?
So we kind of looked to see who was interested, is where we started, kind of in some Facebook groups, and said, hey, look, we've got this game. Who's interested in taking a look at it? And we got some, I think some really great people to look at it. We've sent out 5 copies. So we've got 2 in the US. I think 1 in the UK, 1 in Europe, and another one in Australia. So we had some really good people reach out to us on that, and then we started reaching out to some other people that we had seen and had liked some of the things they've done. So we've been through round 1, and we are now on round 2, and we still have more to go.
Yeah.
I'm not even certain we'll get through everything before the campaign ends, which is, look, that's right. Fine. We're just looking to just get as many people involved as we can and keep going and sharing the game with folks. So
nice. So we like to talk numbers here. So if you have them handy, I'd be curious to know. Going into the weekend before you're going to launch. So I'd be curious to know where you are with people who are following the Kickstarter page, and then all the major kind of social media channels, and then how many folks you have on your newsletter or email list.
Yeah. So the big thing, so with the Kickstarter, right, it's great because you can kind of build an audience there, but it's not an audience that you can access, right? So in order to make sure we get access to that audience, we've really focused on our email list, and we are right now, we are just shy of 3,000 people on that list.
That's amazing.
On Kickstarter, we are at about, more than that, we're higher. I just checked it before this interview because I expected Matt to ask me that, and so we're at we're just north of 380 people on the Kickstarter pre-launch page, and then on the socials between our company page and our 44 BCE group, I'd say we've probably got 300 people. Another 160 or so on Instagram, and then Twitter is kind of lagging behind. I think we've only got about 60, 65 on Twitter. So
nice. So I guess the plan is you're going to kind of probably send an email out to all those folks on your list the day you launch or something like that to get them to jump in there at that time.
We're not going to wait till then. We're not going to wait till then, Matt. I actually sent one out actually today. So we got one out today. We may do another one this weekend just to kind of try to keep people engaged, but then definitely on Tuesday, right? We'll hit folks up, and that's going to go out on every channel that we've got, right?
Absolutely.
So
what are you putting in those lead up emails?
It just kind of depends on what it is and when it is, but we're just kind of letting people know where we are with the game. And some of them, because we've been sending out some, just kind of trying to keep people involved as we've led up to this. We one point created minis. I think we kind of put some of that in there, letting people know that we've got those that we're looking at putting in the game. But in the most recent ones, as we kind of really near into launch, we've really been trying to let people get a feel for the game and see it. And so we've really been pushing a lot of the things that we have that where we've had the reviews come in. So the reviews, the previews, the comments and things we've had on Instagram and Facebook. And my guess is that when I send one out on Saturday, we're going to say something about Muse and Metal podcast.
There you go. Awesome. Yeah. So it sounds like, some folks take the approach of, releasing all the review content and stuff during the campaign, but it sounds like you're kind of dripping that out a little bit beforehand. And I like that idea because you're building up the kind of the hype train or whatever you call it, right? You're building up the suspense and getting people excited about it, seeing good reviews that are going out there even before the campaign launches. So they're primed and ready to hit that back button.
And I think some of it too, look, one of the things that to me is just the best feeling about a lot of this is, man, just seeing people have a good time with this thing that we've made, right? And I tell you what, you get these reviews back, and when people enjoy it, it's exciting, right? And
nice.
Go on, let's tell everybody, because we're excited about it too, and get that kind of stuff out there. But we've still got some big ones still coming, right? That'll be coming out. We'll have I think a big one come out this weekend, and then another one on Tuesday that we've kind of held. So we did show a little bit of restraint and hold on to a couple of them. So
nice.
One of the things I'm really excited about, and I have to give a plug for Ori Kagan. I've seen the promo video that he's done, the kind of the temporary rough version, and it's just something that we're really, really excited about. I would highly recommend him to anybody that is doing, a mid-weight to middle heavyweight board game for promos. So I'm really big on giving credit where credit's due. And Dina Ramsey, Ori Kagan are two big players. They're artists. Ramiana, William, they're all big players, and this is something we could not have done without them.
Absolutely, second that, because Ori has been. He has been amazing, and really so has Dina. Just the effort and advice and everything that they've put into this, and things kind of just what I would consider above and beyond, right? I mean, just offering us their knowledge and experience in this whole industry, and it's across the board though too, right? In this industry, I mean, it amazes me every time I go out somewhere and they're like, oh, you're a new company putting out a game. People are they're so welcoming and inviting, and they just look, that's the coolest thing to me here is that folks in the game industry, they just want more good games out there, right? And if you've got a good game, they get behind it. It's awesome. I love it. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So, like you said at the beginning, you can't do this by yourself, and you got to get all the help you can get. And there's a lot of great help to be had out there. It's not the first time those names have been brought up in this series. So I'll have links to where you could find out, their services as well under this video. And definitely leverage those people who do this for a living, right? And who help people with this kind of stuff all the time, because they've seen the mistakes and they can help you avoid them. Hopefully this
Absolutely.
series is another, tool for those out there to help you get your campaigns going as well. That's about the time we have for today. So why don't you tell folks, when this campaign launches, where folks can find out more, and any kind of parting words of wisdom you have for the folks watching.
So we're going live from my house in the basement Tuesday, May 24th. That's this Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Time. And so I can't remember, what else did you want? That's when we're going live. It's going to be a 3-week campaign, 21 days. Is that right, Christian?
23 days. We go
23 days,
yeah.
23-day
May 11 to June 15.
And it's Kickstarter, right? I mean,
Kickstarter, yes, sir. We'll be on Kickstarter.
Search for 44 BCE on Kickstarter. Click the link. Click the link below the video to go directly there. Anything else you want to leave us with before we sign off?
I'm going to just go back to something I think we've kind of talked about a lot here, but just the community here and just listening to what people have to say. That's one thing I'll tell you, Holt is really great at that, is just kind of taking everything everybody has to say and being able to find something that is useful in how we can tweak things and improve our process, our game, and everything that we've done. But it does, it takes a whole bunch of people and we, don't, especially, I know this is kind of geared towards first time developers and publishers. And so just, make sure, take advantage of the people that have been there and done it. And that's been amazing for us. And it's been just a wonderful journey. Right. And so it's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
18 years.
we came short of 44 years.
Oh yeah. That would have been a story.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Good luck on the campaign. I'll be following it closely, and I look forward to circling back with you after it's all said and done, and we can, pop some champagne and celebrate a successful campaign.
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it.
And thank you guys for tuning into this series. Stick around. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so that when we come back with part 2 of this, or for any future interview I do, you'll be able to get notified for that. And please jump in the comments. Let me know, if you have any questions for these guys. Check out their campaign. Let us know what you think. Love the interaction that we get in the comments, and I'd love to hear from you guys what you're getting out of these interviews. So until next time, this has been KickSaga. We'll see you in part 2.